in goal. Koundé, Araujo, Christensen and Balde, the four at the back. De Jong, Busquets and Pedri, the trio in midfield. Robert Lewandowski's suspension in La Liga does not apply in the Copa del Rey. That means he's available with Gavi one side, Ousmane Dembélé on the other. That is the lineup for Barcelona. We will have a look at the first 11 chosen by Real Sociedad in just a second. They will be the side playing in the blue and white stripes. It's Ramiro in goal, Elizondo, Zubeldia, Lunomond and Diego Rico at the back, Zubimendi ahead of them, Bryce Mendes, Kubo and Marin playing in the midfield. Up top, Oyarzabal supports Alexander Sorloth, the in-form Norwegian striker. There is Bryce Mendes, and there is Mikel Oyarzabal. He's put his injury woes behind him. He starts today for Imanol Alguacil's side, and it was a slightly risky move perhaps. The big games need big game players, and Mikel Oyarzabal is just that. Scored in the Basque derby against Athletic Club. And looks to make an impact here at the Camp Nou, where Real Sociedad get us underway, shooting from right to left. Immediately is brought down by Sorloth. On this Barca's first top-flight test in the Copa del Rey this season. They had Iñaki Peña today, who has up until now been the cup goalkeeper. To the left. It's a call to get that back as Gavi is giving a little shove. This is Busquets trying to weave his way into the box. Busquets lays that pass off. There's the strike, right-footed over the top. First effort of the game from Barca. It's Alejandro Balde losing his footing, sends that over. To the right, Dembélé will do well to keep this in. Ousmane Dembélé does keep it in, and he will cut inside from the right, puts it onto his left foot, brings it in, and it can't quite be finished off. It looks as if maybe Ramiro got a touch. Dembélé does ever so well, just waits his moment to make the run, keeps the ball in play with his toe. Cut inside. It was Lewandowski's strike off Zubeldia. Corner played short to Dembélé. Frenkie de Jong lifts this into the box. It's headed down. It's a real scramble there. The attempt to fire that in on the rebound, unsuccessful first time around, and then Araujo up with an effort just wide of the right stick. No shortage of opportunities so far. That was the clearance that hit the arm of Robin Lenormand. Nothing in that for handball. He was actually being grabbed by the Barca. Came and see him up against David Silva today. Those two players from the Canary Islands, such a similar style. Dembélé has to go outside. Dembélé crosses that in. It's fallen loose here. There's the strike, and it finds its way into the net. Offside flag will go up against Frenkie de Jong, who, try as he might, could not stop interfering in play. He was on the goal line, tried to move his body out of the way. He actually goes in off the Dutchman. The goal will not stand. It remains 0-0 at the Camp Nou. And Lewandowski was arguing his teammate's case. Busquets is arguing that the free kick should be taken a little further back. Ticketing today, just under 200 away tickets allocated to Real Sociedad fans. Not a full house here tonight at the Camp Nou. Kunde. It's now come to Dembélé. He's been one of the danger men so far, played inside. Pedri can't line up a shot. Uses that close control, it's flicked towards goal, and Frenkie de Jong nearly makes amends for his earlier error. Ramiro makes the catch, and that fortuitously hits the heel of Barca, who win a free kick there. Lewandowski given a push in the back by Robin Lenormand. Given the free kick there. Was being grabbed, but he was giving as good as he got. This is Pedri, close control aplenty. Going upfield is Robert Lewandowski. Lewandowski holds on to the ball. Well, he is penalised. Lewandowski has been active so far. It's been a week's rest for him. Unable to feature against Getafe due to that suspension. First choice whenever available. Brilliant goal getter, 13 goals in La Liga, more in the Cup and the Supercopa besides. Outstanding first campaign for Robert Lewandowski. Adapting perfectly to Spanish football. Lovely pass there from Kunde. That will set Dembélé off. Dembélé runs at the defence. Goes inside and out, tries that left-footed shot, it's just wide from Ousmane Dembélé. He was well entitled to go that alone after his diagonal run into the centre. Set up there by Koundé's pass. Dembélé running at Lenormand, who could not turn to face him. It's just wide from Dembélé. So coming up, Leon. Dembélé is inside again, tries that low ball, it's nearly converted at the near post. Ramiro seemed to think he had it covered, and then in came Frenkie de Jong at pace, sliding to the near post and putting the ball just out of play. Ramiro. Another close call from Barcelona. Sorloth has an opportunity to run here at Christensen. He's come to Pamplona Marine. The youngster glides past two defenders, taps it outside. It's a very good pass. The strike hits the crossbar. It looks as if Marc-Andre ter Stegen got a chance to tip that onto the bar. Another ball in. We'll get a replay to see just what happened there. It's the best opportunity so far for the visitors at the Camp Nou. Bryce Mendes was pulled down there. We will get a look at the opportunity just after seeing Balde's foul on Bryce Mendes. Here it was, Sorloth with the pass. Kubo was given the ball. Struck that one. Let's just have a look to see if Marc-Andre ter Stegen, he looks as if he just gets a fingertip on it. Enough to divert it onto the crossbar. It's the box. The ball flicked on. It couldn't be hit on the drop. With a great chance to guide that goalwards. Shove Lewandowski off the ball is unsuccessful. He keeps going, plays to Gavi. There's the 1-2. Lewandowski opened it up to Pedri. Pedri with the strike, the bouncing effort is claimed by Alex Ramiro. There's some cheers here. It was Bryce Mendes who was caught by the flailing arm of Robert Lewandowski. The stiff forearm catches the player signed from Celta Vigo last summer across the jaw. Another awkward ball, and the referee goes over once again. He reaches into his pocket. Bryce Mendes is going to be shown a yellow card. Maybe not before time. It has been foul after foul after foul. Oh, that was Sergio Busquets who slid in first, and look at that. Bryce Mendes goes over the top of the ball. Any other day, that could be a red card. Well, Bryce Mendes escapes with a yellow. Busquets escapes with just a stud mark to show for the collision. Busquets still recovering. The ball will get back in play. We'll just have 6 more minutes. Well, VAR is going to be looked at here. Maybe a sending off for Bryce Mendes. But Manzano has been urged to look at the video screen. And La Real could be reduced to 10 men. It's for that challenge, which catches Busquets just above the ankle. As ever, the still footage maybe looks worse than the video. So Manzano says no yellow, it's a red. La Real are reduced to 10 men. 40 minutes in, Bryce Mendes loses his cool. There were some constant fouls involved between him and Lewandowski, but it was a challenge on Sergio Busquets that sees the Real Sociedad player sent off. Goes over the top of the ball after Busquets had made the challenge on Take Kubo. Flicked on, lovely touch there. Ramiro stands strong though to deny Gavi. The goal would not have stood anyway as Gavi was caught offside. The linesman on the near side raising his flag. There have been some delicate touches so far from Barca in the final third. Lewandowski there turning on the style. His temper was going to lead to something, but he went over the top of the ball. Studs showing, caught Busquets on the ankle. It was a petulant response from Bryce Mendes. It's come to Kunde. Dembele, not through. Kunde dribbles back. Oh, Kunde trying to curl that inside the back post. Not quite successful on that occasion. Cut inside. Swung at it left foot. Alguacil has not made a substitution in light of the sending off of one of his more attacking players. He's been relying on defence so far. We're going to have 3 minutes added on at the end of the first half. Ball nodded down. Come to Gavi. Rocks brought down. Looking for the strike there. It falls loose. It's another scramble inside the penalty area. And it's a call made against Barca, attacking foul. It's Pedri who cuts that back. De Jong into the area, headed down by Araujo, not quite finished off as it trickled towards goal. It was Jules Koundé who met it. It didn't have power or precision. It was on its way out as Ramiro gathers the loose ball up. Soloth runs into thrown down the line. Araujo to Koundé. It remains goalless. Here comes a run into the area. Ramiro gets back on his line, and that one is drilled towards goal. Ousmane Dembélé goes for power. Ramiro gets a hand on it, and Barca take the lead as the ball finds its way inside the near post. Barca 1, Real Sociedad 0. It's Ousmane Dembélé who looked as if he was going to square that. He was given some space to get into the box, and he finishes off belting that ball right-footed. Dembélé goes it alone, having been played through on the right channel. And Barca's persistence pays off. They take the lead just 7 minutes after the restart. And that is a big blow for La Real. They'd held on valiantly at the end of the first half. Well, Dembélé just went for power there. It hits the left hand of Ramiro, who wasn't sure if that was going across to Lewandowski or not. Things stacked against La Real. Marine both fancy this. Will it favour the left foot of Take Kubo? It will be Kubo, can't quite clear that wall as Araujo heads away. Thrown for La Real on the far side. Ooh. There's the free kick, played in. Headed up, Barrenetxea slips up, recovers to keep the ball in his side's possession. It's given away to Koundé, taken on by Take Kubo. Kubo in the area, low delivery in! And it's finished over the top by Alexander Soloth. Well, quite how he missed that is almost incredible. Soloth has been so deadly in recent games. He scored in 5 consecutive La Liga outings. May have been offside there when Balde was grabbing onto him. But it's a let-off there. It was... It's the first Copa Del Rey game at the Camp Nou in front of a crowd since 2020. was a meeting here against Sevilla last season. With the crowd in place, and that ball hits the crossbar. Another chance for Barca to try and score a second. Still not completely away from La Real. Kunde to Gavi. Right-footed strike over the top. But it was Barca's turn to test the crossbar. That ball in fired at pace by Gavi. He just opened up his body too much as he side-footed. Enough to lift it onto the bar. In the first half we'd seen Kubo strike in similar conditions. Pedri again collects. He's had a couple of good chances tonight. He was the difference maker against Getafe this past weekend with his goal. He's left to run. Gavi tries to backheel it through. Appeal for handball is not given. And the referee doesn't even need to go to VAR on that one. Out by Ter Stegen. Have a player down for Real Sociedad. Barca not kicking the ball into touch. Dembélé keeps on going. It's effectively 9 men for Real Sociedad at the moment as Dembélé tries to line up a shot. Dembélé with, in the end, a weak shot from outside the D. We will have that player attended to in the centre circle. Paranachea remonstrates with the referee, asking why play was not stopped, why the ball wasn't kicked out. I see Pedri is suffering from some difficulties as well. And Pedri will be the player who limps off. Small note on, saved by Ramiro. He saw it late. Alex Ramiro gets down to meet that at his near post. About to have another corner, this time from the far side. Gavi holds it up, plays it back to his teammate Rafinha, who's just about onside. This under for Busquets. Just drawn out there was number 31, Sagasti. We are going to see Carlos Fernandez come on. He didn't come on when Ansu Fati was introduced for Barca. To see 5 minutes at the end of this Copa del Rey contest. Real Sociedad could be bowing out of the competition unless they can find a goal from somewhere. Another corner then for the Blaugrana. Their 8th of the game. They send it in towards the near post. It's parried away. Soloth was covering the near stick. Gavi to Busquets. Busquets. Delicate ball. It was met there in the centre. Ansu Fati and Balde were both going for it. What's the ball in? It was an attempt to head that away low. 3 minutes remain at the Camp Nou. Kessie and Araujo both going for the ball, being held back by their respective markers. Araujo. given away here by Ter Stegen. This could be the chance that Real Sociedad need. Ter Stegen makes the save, it comes to the back post, and it's put into the side netting. One late chance for La Real. Off a huge mistake at the back. It was careless from Marc-Andre Ter Stegen. Played it just out of the reach of Busquets. It was put back to Robert Navarro. His effort saved by Ter Stegen, left-handed. And Carlos Fernandez can only swipe into the side netting. Header could be followed up with a strike there, parried away by Ter Stegen, and Rafinha is able to clear away. Another good chance for 10-man Real Sociedad to force this one into added time, but here come Barca on the break to try and put the finishing touches on a Copa del Rey victory. It's played across to Ansu Fati, tries to meet that, and it bounces wide, not the cleanest of contact made by Franck Kessié. Kessié just lightly grazes that, and as the ball is sent upfield, it looks as if the referee is going to call time on this contest.